Any attempt at defining our nationhood in terms of dogma and identity of religion, hatred and intolerance will only lead to the dilution of our national identity. In the happiness of the people lies the happiness of the king. Their welfare is his welfare. He shall not consider as good only that which pleases him, but treat as beneficial to him whatever causes happiness to people. Our national identity has emerged through a long-drawn process of confluence, assimilation, and coexistence. The multiplicity in culture, faith, and language is what makes India special. We derive our strength from tolerance. We accept and respect our pluralism. We celebrate our diversity. They have been a part of our collective consciousness for centuries. Any attempt at defining our nationhood in terms of dogma and identities of religion, hatred, and intolerance will only lead to the dilution of our national identity. As Gandhiji explained, Indian nationalism was not exclusive, not aggressive, not destructive. It was this very nationalism that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru so vividly expressed in the discovery of India, and I quote, "I am convinced that nationalism can only come out of the ideological fusion of Hindu, Muslims, Sikhs, and other groups in India. That does not mean the extinction of any real cultural or of any group, but it does mean a common national outlook to which other matters are subordinated," unquote. In the process of our movement against the British rules, the various anti-colonial, anti-British, and mostly progressive movements across the length and breadth of the country were ultimately unified in a cohesive national struggle for freedom, keeping the feeling of patriotism above everything, individual, ideological, and political leanings. In the happiness of the people lies the happiness of the king. Their welfare is his welfare. He shall not consider as good only that which pleases him, but treat as beneficial to him whatever causes happiness to people. Kautilya placed people at the center long before the formulation of the modern democratic government by the people, of the people, for the people. The aim of the state should be to galvanize the people to fight a concerted war against poverty, disease, and deprivation, and to convert our economic growth into real development. Let the objective of spreading peace, harmony, and happiness inform the formulation of our public policy and guide all the actions of our state and citizen in their everyday life. These and these only will be able to create a happy nation where nationalism flows uninterruptedly, automatically.
प्रणता, आपकी पार्टी ने महिलाओं के लिए 33% आरक्षण करके अपने अंदर एक महत्वपूर्ण पहल हाथ में ली है और उसके लिए आपको, आपकी पार्टी को बधाई। लेकिन मैं ये जानना चाहूंगा कि इसको अब आप अपनी पार्टी में लागू कैसे करेंगे, कैसे इस पर अमल करेंगे?
लागू करने के लिए अभी तक तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का अमेंडमेंट हुआ, उसके बाद रूल्स बनाने पड़ेगा। रूल्स में कैसे ये अमल होगा, कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट होगा, वो चर्चा होंगी। लेकिन मैं आपको ये बता सकता हूँ, सपोज एक कमेटी में 30 मेंबर हैं, एग्जीक्यूटिव कमेटी में, तो 30 में 10 वीमेन होगा, 20%, 1/5 होगा शेड्यूल कास्ट, शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स, माइनॉरिटीज। अभी भी ऐसे है। अब कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी अभी मौजूदा मेंबर है
20 है।
अभी 20 है, 20 तक हो सकता। अभी प्रेजेंटली देयर आर सम वैकेंसीज, 17 है। उसमें आप देखेंगे तो बैकवर्ड, माइनॉरिटीज, शेड्यूल कास्ट मिला के करीब 50% से ज़्यादा है।
प्रणव, मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि जो 33% महिलाओं के लिए आरक्षण दिया गया है, उसको आप अपने संगठन में किस तरह से लागू करेंगे? जैसे आपकी 24 सदस्यीय अब हो जाएगी CWC,
तो 8 होगा,
तो उसमें 8 महिलाओं को कैसे आप जगह देंगे?
वो तो कुछ महिला तो डायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड हो जाएंगे, और जो बैलेंस होगा, बैलेंस करने के लिए सपोज 3 इलेक्टिव कंपोनेंट में आ जाएंगे, तो 5 नॉमिनेट करना होगा।
नहीं तो ये इलेक्शन कब होगा?
Have any doubt prior to this meeting that Mr. Rao's leadership was in question?
No, I have no doubt. I didn't have any, and there was no question because all these were speculative stories in that place.
Would it have been a bad move to question the leadership at this point?
There was no question because if somebody looks at the history of the Indian National Congress, it has never deserted its leader in the time of crisis. And it has always stood by the side of the leader in the hour of crisis, and always it has taken up the challenges and met the challenges in past. Moreover, electoral debacle in parliamentary politics is not new. After all, some party is to be defeated. Sometimes it is our turn. We shall have to accept it. Thereafter, we shall have to take the corrective measures as and when necessary.
What now? What next?
Now as I mentioned on earlier occasion, situation is fluid. Yes, we have lost and we have failed to gain the majority, but nobody has emerged as winner. Therefore, compulsion of the situation is that there should be coalition, and working committee in the morning has decided to explore the possibilities of having non-BJP coalitions, and I think it will be acted accordingly.
Do you think the National Front government has it in them to survive?
I would not like to comment just now because the process is simply on.
Mr. Mukherjee, doesn't the president have to ask the BJP first to see if they can prove the majority?
I am not going to interpret the constitutional provisions, and here in Indian Constitution the President has authorities to decide what course of action he will take, and he had to face the situation on earlier occasions. Therefore, there is the set procedure which will be followed. Coalition government as such does not lead to the secessionist activities, but surely when regional political parties get prominence and share in power without having any national perspective, they will like to utilize that power to subserve their own sectarian interest, which may lead to a situation where the national unity and integrity may be affected. And that is one of the reasons why I am opposed to the concept of coalition. Political parties have national perspectives, they cannot address the national issues. Their visions will be blurred by their regional perceptions. They will be too much sectarian in their approach. But there may be political parties which have national vision, but physically their activities may be confined to 1 or 2 states. And I will say that those parties are national parties in vision, but regional parties in operation. But the political parties which are vision wise and operation wise restricted to only a few pockets can never address the national issue.